What's going on, everybody? It's been a minute. You are tuning into another episode of Chopping Up with Q podcast. Of course, again, I am Q, aka Black Hercules, and of course, I got my girl, my sister, on the line. Ma'am, go ahead and introduce yourself. You got it.
Well, I don't have any AKAs. It's still just be here. I don't got any type of AKAs. Y'all do. I just be here. Minding my business, aka minding my business, I guess, is what we'll go with. a skill a lot of y'all need to probably learn, but it's neither here nor there.
Hey, that's taking it to a whole nother level. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so that's where we are with that. Yep, I'm here. We're here. We, have been on hiatus as usual for us, but we're here. So,
hey man,
at this point, consider it a surprise drop. Like, hi guys.
Of course. I mean, you know what? Life happens. It comes at you in different ways. So I mean, it's just how it goes, man. It's not really much you can say about that.
You were in school, then I went back to school for somebody else. Like,
Yeah, speaking of that, don't forget to make sure she give you some credits, when she graduate. Tell her you can use a couple.
What I'm gonna do with some organizational leadership credits? Not a goddamn thing.
I don't know, man. Anything, they might be able to transfer that to something else,
Just to what else?
Anything. It don't matter. Hey, man,
math for non-math and finance majors and sociology. I already got sociology credits. I can do nothing with that. Be mad.
Hey, man, they'll put it as a technical credit. You know how that goes.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, so.
Oh, man.
If anybody want to help my mom with her sociology homework, y'all welcome to. Like, by all means, come on down.
Hey, I did my time. I'm good.
Good. I didn't want to be involved either, but here we are. So
she got it. But what's been up though, man? How everything been?
Everything is everything. It's 1,000 degrees every day. That's interesting. So global warming is real because it's a gajillion degrees.
No, it ain't a real thing. Back in the year 80, 800, the world was like a gajillion degrees.
And everybody that was alive then is dead. And there are no books or anything to tell me about that. So, I'm going to go with what the live people can tell me. And I'm just saying that it's fine if you don't believe that climate change is real, but I just want you to explain why the ice caps are melting and it's polar bears showing up in, residential neighborhoods talking about, could you, recommend a realtor? So if it's not real, why are these polar bears just floating up on pieces of ice and then like get married to brown bears and like going to start their new life in Vermont? Like, I just want y'all to explain if it's not real. What are they doing? Like, why are they here?
It's all a liberal hoax. They fake that so you can believe that. Like the pink snow and all that, that's not real. Somebody, sprinkled dye on that. It's just all a hoax.
I was like, it's penguins flipping burgers at Burger King now. A penguin dropped your fries when Uber Eats came to get it. I'm just saying, like, they doing a lot. They doing Uber and shit because they live here now. They don't even live. Mm-hmm. All they shit melted. They live in the forest now. It's penguins in the rainforest, and y'all trying to say this shit not real. Okay,
yep,
that's fine. That's cool.
Yep, we're not finna do that. You already know how that's gonna go. I mean, most people don't. Yeah, most people don't believe. The whole Rona is real. So hey, here we are.
Well, here we are. It's my understanding that the Bahamas is the latest country to kick Americans out and say you're not welcome here. I think that was like on Saturday or Sunday, maybe Monday, and they told them they had until Wednesday to be gone. They were like, you need to be gone by Wednesday. We're not gonna handle flights out because you can't be here. So I think there are 24 countries that we are welcome at right now.
Yeah. I mean, I know Europe gave us the boot and said, nah, man, till y'all get y'all shit together over there, we good. As that's pretty much how they said it. And here you go to Bahamas. So hey, man, why not? Why not everybody?
Yeah, so America is slowly showing itself to be the third world country with the first world mask. It's like the Scooby Doo when they pull off the mask off the monster, and it's just like old man Jenkins. Like that's America, except for underneath it is just like the ghetto, like ghetto broke ass, impoverished bullshit. Like yeah,
I mean,
you take out it's just a lot.
I mean, is it not true though? Like if you really look at it, like if you take the rose tinted glasses off and really looked at it, do we not have similar problems as third world countries? Granted, we are the richest country, but that's only for a few. So, I mean, you don't have to worry about getting chased in the streets and nothing like that, but let's not pretend like we don't have niggas living on the streets or that, people can't get real food around here. So I'll just leave it at that.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I think people feel like because we have running water, we're somehow above other countries, and then like it's people drinking contaminated water. So does it matter if it's running if it's not even really drinkable? Like, America's interesting, and I don't want to go on this like whole anti-patriotic rant or whatever. Like, look, it's a free country. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that in the grand scheme of things, are there worse places to live? Absolutely. There are worse places to live. However, this bitch be acting like it's at the tippy top of the list, like it's the creme de la creme of places, and it is not the creme de la creme of places. We in the bottom, like we're in the bottom third percentile. Like if it was 100 countries listed, we're like 75. Like it's okay. Like it's fine.
To make
it like 20. Okay, well, fair. Okay, we're like 25. Okay.
Instead of whooping your ass in a relationship 20 times, we'll only do it 10.
It's
technically better.
It's like we're good. We're good on technicality. Like, and that's what I'm saying. Like, we're talking about like even with it, like with money. Like American money isn't backed by anything. Like it's not on the gold standard anymore, so it's not backed by anything. It's just good because we say it is. America's out here bullying people in strong arm, being like, our money is worth more than your money because we fucking say it is.
Yeah, is backed by, hey, you want us to run up on you? No,
that's pretty much it. Like, we will bomb the shit out of your shit and come over there and shoot all that shit up and build a military base on your motherfucking shit and we'll never leave, bitch. Now, how much is it worth?
Yeah.
And they're like, whatever you say it is.
Regime changes. There you go. Now we'll go ahead. But continue, V. Tell us about how you been.
It was like, I'm sorry, what happened? Stage a coup. What are we doing? Other than that, I've been good. It's been, like I said, it's a summer that doesn't feel like summer. Still in the house. The governor's got us on mandatory mask orders that people aren't following, so that's interesting. So we see all the Karens and the Chads out and about getting to arguments on camera with people because they don't want to wear their masks. And the thing that I think irritates me about it the most is because I don't want to get into this like whole corona fueled craze or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the thing that bothers me about it the absolute most is that when we look at primarily who like the essential workers are, it's black and brown people. It's brown people. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's people that work in these kind of minimum wage jobs or work in these jobs where they have to be there every day. And so it's always this optic of some entitled, privileged white person basically hurling verbal slurs and abuse and possible like assault at some brown person who's just trying to do the job and get the $9 or $10 or $11, whatever the fuck it is, that they're being paid to stand at the door and ask you to wear a mask for the 30 minutes you're in the store. It's just insane to me.
That's you're being very, very generous with that $9 to $11 an hour. Most of the time they are making bare minimum wage, which, for the record, it's already come out as a report that there's nowhere in the United States you can live for just minimum wage alone. So there goes the idea that minimum wage is enough. But anyways, we're not going to go there. Yeah, it has been interesting. Especially I remember to see, of course, only in Florida. There was one guy who flipped out in Florida damn, I can't remember the dude's name, but I just remember he got fired from his job because he worked at like an insurance agency or something like that. And he flips out on camera talking about he feels threatened, back up. And I'm like, yo, I guess the funny part that's been interesting is that out of everything that's going on in the world, like everything going on in the country at this moment, you know, we got the protests going on, we have the you know, racial injustice, all these police reform, and all these different things. People are willing to die on the hill for masks. That's funny. I'm sorry. Of all things.
Right. And like I think I told somebody on Twitter at some point, I was like, so we have been wearing seatbelts since the 70s. The seatbelt is required. You can get a ticket for no seatbelt. When you go into stores, it's a privately owned business. It's not a government owned building. So if they say you have to do these things in order to come into the store, you have to do them. Like nobody's, you don't see people being pissed off because they have to wear shoes in the store, but most stores that is a requirement that you have to have on shoes and a shirt.
No shirts. No shirt, no shoes, no service is what you'll see in a lot of places, unless you live in a coastal area where there's a beach. Then that's the environment. Right,
but most places it's like you need to wear shoes in the store. Period. I don't see people protesting that and standing in the door. You're not gonna let me in unless I go to my car and put on shoes. Well, no, sweetie, go put on some fucking shoes. Like, and that's insane to me. They are willing to do all of the other things that are required. You don't see motherfuckers going to the airport and being like, it violates my rights not to be able to bring my 46-ounce hairspray into my carry-on. I'm going to protest and TSA is going to put you the fuck out.
Yeah. Like, well, I think here's what happens. And I think this is a big misconception. I'm not even going to try to take over this with this, but when it comes to rights, your quote unquote rights cannot supersede the general public safety of the environment. And so if your rights violate other person's rights, that's not a right at all. Like, I don't know. I don't understand why that's hard to, you know, for people to fathom, but I get it. You know, it's hard for people to really ascertain what that means. So it's like, get an example. Just because you say, I don't want to wear a mask because it quote unquote violates my rights. But here's the issue. By you not doing so does pose a public health hazard to others around you. Therefore, your right to not have to wear them is not above the public safety of others, the general population. So there you go.
I mean, yeah, that's pretty much what it boils down to. And people are very selfish. They think for some reason these individual rights mean something when they don't. Get out. When they don't. Get down.
But yeah, man, other than that,
what have you been up to?
Absolutely nothing. I mean, I've been gaming more. I mean, I do my work from home, but I guess you could say I've been seeing my little man grow up, but so that's been a plus. But other than that, we haven't really done much, you know, overall. So it's been a lackluster summer for the most part.
I think that's everybody. Like, it just seems like a shitty ass summer. Like, you can't really go anywhere. You can't really do anything. Which, listen, some of y'all are going and doing everything and anything, and God bless you. I'm not gonna.
By all means, have fun.
Yeah, I mean, and again, there's this discussion because I was watching a segment on Good Morning America where they were talking about mitigated risk, I guess, and they were like, you kind of have to decide how risky you feel like it is for you. So, I mean, like I said, I can kind of see it on multiple fronts. If you feel like I'm going somewhere that's not necessarily a vacation spot, they haven't really had a lot of people contract coronavirus there. You know, I'm going to be there for a few days. I'm going to wear my mask. I'm going to social distance. You might feel like you're comfortable. So, I mean, reasonably speaking, if you drive there in your car and essentially treat your vacation the ways you would treat coming in and out of your house, then I guess your risk would kind of be mitigated, but I just don't know how comfortable I'd feel like staying in a hotel or something like that where other people are kind of in charge of the cleanliness of the place.
I guess the only issue I run into is, this is okay. Here we get into my field now. The only problem that you run into is you can assess it for yourself, but there is very little understanding of what the risk is around you, because unless you are aware of who may have come in potential contact or who's feeling ill, because that's also heavily relying on people self-reporting, you don't really know what you're getting into when you do go out in public. That's the reality of it. So you can do what you can for yourself, but PPE for some, that's the last line of defense. That's basically saying, hey, look, we know there's a hazard. It's not meant to actually eradicate the hazard, but maybe this will protect you or add an additional barrier from the hazard. And that's it.
Yeah. I'm just try again in 2021, and I just feel like I can line up all my trips on these cheap ass flights. They want to make the flight be $15, but you gotta fly before August. And I'm like, look here, fuck you. Like, ain't nobody finna go nowhere before August. No. And then they finna be shit out of luck, because when that second wave hit and that flu hits on top of this motherfucking shit in the winter, where the fuck they think people going?
Hey man, it's gonna be rough, because not even that.
The flight's gonna be $15 at Christmas too, so I'm not concerned.
Hurricane season coming up. It's gonna be interesting second quarter, or I guess in this case for most people, third and fourth quarter. So
yeah, it's gonna be some wild shit, man. Is all I know to tell them. Like, God bless everybody. Good luck, everyone.
Hey, look, that's all you can do is protect your neck.
That's all you can do. Lord Almighty. Well, people have been watching more Netflix than usual, I guess, because everybody's at home. What I have been doing personally is Netflix kind of does like the anime thing where they have like 1 or 2 seasons of like shit that's like Netflix original anime. So I've watched like all of that shit. Like, I've watched it all. If it's been like, I've watched literally like every Netflix anime. Like, I'm obsessed with some shit I watched called Food Wars. Like, and so then I found out there's more seasons on Hulu, so now I'm like watching on Hulu. But so yeah, like, I've literally just been watching very strange anime. So that's been my thing. There've been some good movies to come out, I heard.
Yeah, man. What was it? Fatal Affair. Classic movie.
So, for those of you who don't know, that he's referring to the Nia Long, Omar Epps movie that came out, that is like all the other ones that came out, and there's like so many that I can barely count them all. Netflix just kind of has the market cornered on these black movies that are supposed to be like Fatal Attraction. It's very weird. Man. There's Fatal Affair. Then there was A Fall from Grace, the Tyler Perry one. A Fall from Grace.
TP. Of course.
What was the one that had Taraji in it, where they hire the surrogate to come have their baby, and then like the surrogate gets obsessed with her husband? That was on Netflix.
Oh, that's right. That's the one with what's my man? Mo Chestnut, huh? Was that with him?
I think so. And then remember there was the one with Michael Ealy where he was the murderer. And I think that was the one I think that's the one you're thinking of, with Morris Chestnut.
Probably.
And Michael Ealy was stalking that girl, and like, like, they had so many different ones. Like, that is insanity when you think about it, that there were that many, like.
What's the obsession with like deranged people? Like, is this a new thing?
Yeah, like, it's insanity. I'm gonna do my Googles while you talk, and maybe I'll come up with the names of these movies.
No, so it's funny that no, I ain't gonna lie. So the one with Mo Chestnut was When the Bow Breaks. That wasn't on. I think it actually came out in theaters, if I'm not mistaken. But that's not the one that you were mentioning. But it's very similar, because apparently, all right, I'll give a spoiler alert, but do I really need to? It's a Netflix movie, but one, it feels like TP actually directed this, because it came off so much like that. But anyways, Nia Long, Omar Epps are like old college friends. Apparently Nia Long's married. You don't, and apparently they got issues in their marriage, but you never see that. And all of a sudden, her and Omar just mess around, but they don't really. And then all of a sudden, Omar just go crazy. That's the end of the movie. It just plays out from there because everything moves so fast and there's zero character development, so it's just crazy. But I ain't gonna lie, I'll tell people it's a great time if you just want to watch I ain't gonna say a bad movie, but an interesting movie. No, I ain't gonna lie, it's a bad movie. But you want to have like beer or alcohol or wine with it, it makes it so much better. So that's what I was saying.
Okay, so let's see what else came out that was similar. No Good Deed came out in 2014. That was Taraji and Idris Elba. We got The Perfect Guy. The Perfect Guy with Sanaa Lathan. That was the one with Morris Chestnut and
don't forget because
Light Skin Shorty.
It's also similar to what's the one with Idris and Idris and Beyonce.
Oh yeah, that was something. Wasn't that Obsessed or something like that?
It's almost similar to that too.
And then there was the one where they had Michael Ealy was the one in The Perfect Guy. So then Michael Ealy showed up again, remember? And it was Megan Good and Dennis Quaid, and Dennis Quaid. They sold their house to Dennis Quaid sold his house to them, but then wouldn't leave The Intruder.
That's right. I do remember.
So it's like literally like 6 actors and actresses are like black actors and actresses like rotating the same fucking movie over the past 4 years. God bless them. I want everybody to get to these bags and this money, but y'all gotta stop. Like,
hey, man.
It can only be so many fatal attract. Like, the white people have been cut. Like, listen, the white people have making some subpar movies too, because that shit that Will Ferrell is in with Rachel McAdams. Why does she didn't have to do that?
Man, there's a lot of those movies.
Eurovision, Europop, whatever the fuck Netflix kept trying to shove in my face and make me watch.
With that case, all you gotta do is say Adam Sandler, and that's the end of the discussion.
Okay, you know what? You're right.
Yeah, I'm just saying that's the end of the discussion.
Yeah, it's just a goddamn tragedy. I just want them to. But again, here's, like I said, I'm rooting for everybody black. So if y'all want to make the same movie and motherfuckers gonna keep watching it, I mean, I guess. But my whole thing is that in terms of us getting more movies out there, when you keep white people make the same movies too, but they also own studios shit to keep churning out the same movies. I just want you to, I don't want them to keep making the same. I don't need a Fatal Attraction every year.
Or what if it's all a shared universe and all of the characters who have done wrong in those films come together like Voltron and they make one big film? So now
like a super stalker predator.
A super stalker movie.
Like super stalker.
Yeah, it's like 5 of them. You don't know who's doing it.
And they like have like an elite SWAT team of like fucking stalkers, and they're like they got like radios and shit and like sonar and goddamn heat thermal goggles. They're sitting in, and then it's like Strangers on a Train, Alfred Hitchcock, where they like agree to kill each other's like stalk person they're stalking.
It's like, why not?
Like, I know. Well, I tried to kill her, and then she thinks I'm dead. So I want you to stalk her, and then I'm gonna stalk your bitch, and then they won't even know, and then we'll kill them both. It'll be great. High five.
If we're gonna do these movies, let's take it to the next level. Hey, man, there's multiple stalkers for one person, and they're like, I don't know who.
And then they're vying for her attention. So they both show up to stalk her. So then they get into like an action sequence, like Mission Impossible fight, because they gotta fight to see who gonna get the stalker that day. I feel like you're right. Like, we can up the ante here. Me and you can write we can write a movie.
Hey, I'm just saying, man, we ain't got nothing going on. People just waiting for new content. So, hey, man, let's just do it.
Super stalkers in space. We can do this. Hey. Jason went to space. We can go to space.
Hey, I'm just saying, it'll be like this will be our version of Infinity War, just with stalker people. I'm putting together a team, and that's all it's going.
Oh my god. We just want to make a disclaimer now. We in no way advocate stalking, harassment of women, abuse towards women, or anything of the sort. We here at Jumping Up with Q are fierce proponents of a woman's right to choice, a woman's right to be protected, a woman's right to not be abused and stalked by men who do not want her. We just don't want y'all to get the wrong idea or try to sue us because we don't have any money. Okay, thank you.
You're right. I mean, you do it for practice. I'll show up and say, I said that, but, it's for entertainment and shit. But just give them the shoulder shrug emoji. Like, I don't know. Oh, man. But yeah,
what else?
I'll just say, man, look, if you want to find something entertainment, just watch it, and write me hate mail later. It's fine.
In other news of people with boredom on their hands and not a lot to do, apparently Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. are fighting. Is that what I'm to understand?
That's the rumor, man. I my buddy from work told me that, and I was like, "Is this?" I said, "Why though? Like, do they need money?" I said, "Isn't this like close to elder abuse?" Because I swear them niggas close to 60.
What I read is that it's like an 8-round exhibition match, but it's just like, why? Like, is it for charity or something?
I don't know. Is it just to see that you still got it? Because granted, I saw Mike Tyson's workout like a couple months ago, and granted, I still won't take a punch from him. That's cool, but
like he looks quite spry for a 50-something-year-old man, because he's at least 50. So he looks quite spry to be 50. Them punches were still going. They look like they still got the power behind them. But why? Like, why try to throw your back out to do? Why?
I don't know. I don't get it. But
is it redemption from when what's his name fucked up Black History Month? Like, is that what it is?
Maybe, because I mean, at the end of the day, only one black person can win, so we all win. Maybe
that nigga did fuck up Black History Month. So I mean,
and then he had a bad meme with it too. Like, then he got hit and his tongue was out. It's like, oh shit, It's like,
so yeah, I mean, maybe it's just redemption for that. And this is two black people. A black person will absolutely win. So
we
it's like a do-over.
Yeah, exactly.
Or something. Well, I can tell you a place where one black person did not win. So apparently, Megan the Stallion, and Tory Lanez were out together at Kylie Jenner's pool party. Now, that is just a mix of things that don't really need to go together, but I digress. So they're all on live and videos and, being at Kylie Jenner's house or whatever the fuck rich people do when they're supposed to be quarantining and wearing masks. Yeah. And,
well, they got money if they get sick.
This is true. They probably just like milk babies or baby goats or some shit out the Alps and fly in the milk where they rub it on your face and it makes it go away. Or shit. Who knows? At any rate, they leave there, and this is where shit gets hazy. But apparently, Tory Lanez was arrested for some type of gun possession charge, and Megan the Stallion exits the vehicle with video footage that we see from TMZ with her hands up, limping, leaving a trail of blood on the ground because apparently she was shot in her foot. So there's a lot of speculation as to what happened. Nobody knows for sure. Megan has said, that she's deeply hurt and she's processing, so she'll tell her story when she's ready. Obviously, Tory Lanez cannot tell us anything because he's in jail. And nobody else is speaking. So there's that.
All I know is
what are your thoughts?
All I know is the rumors about it, that he was the one that shot her in the foot because apparently she was trying to exit his vehicle and he wasn't having that. I don't know. So I can only speak on what's speculated. If that was the case, leave dudes like that alone. Because if these dudes will bust a cap in you for trying to protect yourself or walk away from them, that's not the dudes you really want to be around. I'm just saying, like, I get it to an extent that, I'm gonna just speak freely. Niggas who come off as like they got a little edge to them, come off as sexy as shit, but you also kind of gotta sit back and really look at it. It's like, yo, is this the dude who he has that so quote unquote persona, but will that be used against me at some point in time? And so you kind of gotta really just assess from there. Now I'm gonna go ahead and just put it out there. I'm not blaming her for anything that occurred to her. If the nigga did shoot her, then hey, you know what? hem him up on gun charges. I know people will say, man, black people got problems already. You're right. So be aware of that. Because if you know that's the issue, why would you even want to put yourself in that situation? You let somebody walk away, you deal with it later. But again, this is all speculative. I don't know, but that's just what I've heard.
Right. All we know is there was a gun in the car. The gun was discharged. This lady was shot in her foot. So I don't know how that happened or what the circumstances surrounding that are or XYZ. But I'm with you. If it is and comes out and in fact that man did shoot her, like I don't. Aside from her also having a weapon in the vehicle that could cause him. No, I'm not. No, not at all. But I'm just saying, aside from that being the case, is if she pulled a gun on him first, or she was trying to stab this nigga with an ice pick she pulled out from under the seat, there's really no reason for him to have pulled a firearm and discharged it in his car, near his car, by his car. So before anybody, I agree with you. So before anybody jumps to that, you know, he shot her, XYZ, blage, we don't want another black person to go to jail. Look, the bottom line is I want people to stop being violent towards each other. We have enough problems. We have bigger fish to fry. So if you can't keep your guns put up over whatever the fuck happened in the car, then you deserve all that's coming to you. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like, I want to be that person where I want to be like, oh, abolish the prison complex, blage, but you cannot go around shooting people. No, you cannot.
You can't. Like, this doesn't help. And it's so... It
does not help anything. Quit shooting people for shit that can be resolved without shooting people. And that's everybody. Please quit pulling guns for shit that can be resolved without guns. Like, stop that. Everybody.
I mean, personally, I got a thought on it. If you quick to pull the strap to me, you ain't got hands. That's just that's me. that's how I grew up though.
I mean, and that's my uncle, God rest his soul, my great uncle, my Uncle LC. He pull a pistol on a nigga in a minute. But the thing about Uncle LC was he pull a pistol on you, he shoot that bitch. And that's just the real, the long, and the short of it. And he always told me, if you pull a pistol on somebody, you be prepared to shoot that.
You gotta clap.
You shoot it. Now you gotta shoot it. You pulling pistols, you gotta shoot. You need to fire it. Yeah. Otherwise, you can put up and put your fist up.
That's it.
What is it even out for? What you out got it out waving it around for?
And that's my whole thing is like, you know, people who pull them quickly don't really have no hands, but you also got a lot of people who never had to fight. Yeah. You always got people who brandish shit just to try to scare the other person because they know what that means. And so I can't name a situation where I'll pull it on a woman again unless my life is in danger. Like, she got it to my head and I can hopefully get to mine before she get me. But other than that,
no.
That's it.
We wishing peace and healing to Meg, whatever the situation is, whatever comes out or doesn't come out.
Now, I did also hear about your girl, what was it, Drea? Apparently she was making a joke about it and Meg tried to, basically Meg checked her ass for it. I don't know if you heard about that.
Well, that's how you clear a bitch. I did hear about that. Dre was like, I want somebody to love me enough to shoot me. And the thing about Dre is that she's a pretty girl and they're beautiful bikinis, but she could just really be quiet and model them. Because if a nigga will eat that bird that she had in that bag that Thanksgiving that she poured that champagne over that looked like, I don't know what, I don't have words to describe what that looks like. But the point is some nigga ate that. So really, she needs to judge her niggas off who's willing to eat that uncooked turkey that she's making and not on whether or not they love her enough to shoot her, because I don't love her and I wanted to shoot her for that turkey.
Like, is that love now though? If a dude is willing to enact violence on you, is that mean he truly love you? Is that what it's hot out here?
No, it means that you have been in so many relationships that have not functioned like they're supposed to, that you don't know how to function without dysfunction. That's what that means. That means that your relationship is dysfunctional to the point that when somebody does something that qualifies as assault and can get them 15 years in jail, you think that is acceptable behavior and that person loves you. That means you need to see a therapist, basically. That doesn't mean anybody loves you. It means you need to see a therapist.
Yeah, that's weird. Like, I'm not saying love is easy, but I don't think we need to be scrapping like that. Yeah, that's not.
No, love is not easy, but I feel like there is definitely a middle point between easy and gunplay before bedtime.
Yeah. Like, that's
I feel like there's a lot of middle ground there that could be covered before we get to the weapons portion of the
yeah,
relationship.
like you don't really love me unless you pistol whip me before sex. Like, are you sure? Like, is this where we going? Like,
Yeah, I don't think I signed up for that particularly. Yeah, but like I said, Dre is a bird. That was bird behavior. And then she, of course, came out and apologized because she felt like she was making a joke. But the thing about it is that it
what's
really
the
was not funny.
punchline? That's the problem with
And
people with jokes. What's the
that is
punchline?
also, and that's also the problem with a lot of people that make jokes about abuse or assault when it happens to anybody. And I try, if I am nothing else, and I feel like you as well, we are very consistent about what our stance is. We are not, we're not, hypocrites. We try not to be. We're equal opportunity when it comes to things like that. So I feel like in the grand scheme of things, even if you go back to listen to anything else that we put out, the stance has been clear. We don't think that you abusing people is funny. We do not think that people getting shot is funny. On either end of the spectrum, I don't care who got shot. I don't care who, it's not ever going to be funny.
Yeah. And there's rare, like I said, I've only heard one abuse joke where I was like, that's funny because it's ironic. And that was, of course, from Dave Chappelle. He talked about men getting abused. And he said something along the lines like, for women, there's a place to go. At least there's a hotline. And he's like, for guys, unfortunately, no one really cares about that stuff. So you kind of got to just get up and walk that off. And you got to actually hear him. And it's like, damn, that is kind of interesting. But it's not funny as in ha ha, but it's funny as like, that's interesting.
Well, just so we're clear on the matter, men can also call the abuse hotline, and it's not just for women.
Yeah,
so
that's
just
true.
So we're
but when it comes to
there's
men,
a stigma. There's certainly a stigma because somebody would if the joke because here's the thing, if the story would have been that Tory Lanez is the person that got shot and it's not Megan, then the conversation had around it would be a totally different thing. I am not victim blaming Megan. I am not trying to put her situation in a bad light or anything like that. But I agree that certainly if the tables were turned, then it would have been a lot more jokey ha about it than it is when it's her.
Yeah. I mean, just take a look at
what did he do? Or what did he do to make her shoot him?
Yeah,
it shouldn't be that way for either person. Shoot, period.
Abuse is abuse at the end of the day, but it kind of goes back to a hood classic of mine, thin line between love and hate. The scene where Martin went down to the police department and they laughed him out, talking about, oh, she's trying to harm you. And they didn't take his claim serious. And so that's kind of somewhat what, to an extent, what goes on.
Well, and my sincerest hope is that it gets better, because I do think that is one of the things, certainly that and sexual assault that is perpetrated against men, are things that go grossly underreported and they aren't taking it seriously. And so I would hope that kind of the conversations that we have as people in this age advance that to where more men feel comfortable coming forward with those experiences, and that officers and law enforcement are better equipped to handle these situations and not let their bias get in the way, because it's sad and it's unfair. And so I think that there are men that struggle with this, and I'm not saying they're getting beat up every day, but they could be in a relationship where they are not the violent person, but every time their girlfriend doesn't get their way, she's throwing glass or plates or threatening to stab them or whatever. And nobody should have to live that way. I don't care what the extent of the abuse is. No one should have to live that way. No one should have to be in fear for their life. No one should have to be scared. A person of either sex or gender or whatever you want to qualify it as is going to pull out a gun and threaten you bodily harm because they don't like something that's going on in your relationship.
Exactly. Which is also, again, I'll reiterate, if he did do what they're claiming, then there's nothing we can do for him. He has to deal with all the consequences that come his way. Because at the end of the day,
go to Canada, bitch.
Yeah, at the end of the day, he was out of line and he did something wrong and he got to deal with the consequences. And let's hope Meg recovers properly.
Yeah. Hope everybody's okay.
Oh, definitely.
What else do we want to talk about? Oh, so Kanye West
Oh man, here
wants
we
to be
go.
president, and apparently he missed the deadline to be on the ballot in multiple states. Apparently, they let him
Yes.
be on the ballot in Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
At
He
some
also did
point in
a
the past,
he also did a rally
go
in
ahead.
South Carolina, but we will talk about that later on. Go ahead, continue.
So yeah, he, I guess, is being put on the ballot in some places. I don't know what he's running as. I don't know that he's filed all the necessary paperwork. I'm not entirely sure. Um, so he then decided he was going to do a rally. I don't know why he would wait until July to decide to do this, and then people are voting in November. I'm not sure how he thinks things work. I don't know if he feels like he's just going to be able to do this off the strength of him being Kanye West, or because Donald Trump was able to become president, he feels like he is able to. I'm not entirely sure. So he holds this rally in South Carolina, and this is where shit gets interesting. He showed up in some type of bulletproof vest
Yeah, that
situation.
was
I don't.
weird. I was like, "What are you planning for?" like,
Like, he showed up in a bulletproof vest, and then he was like on stage rambling. He at some point yells at a black girl in the crowd for wearing a mask when there are multiple people there with masks on. She's not the only one.
yeah. And then he went on a rant about, I guess, some kind of anti-abortion claim. Like, my mama saved my
He wanted
life because my daddy wanted to abort me, and I was like,
he wanted to fund public Planned Parenthood, and then he got to crying and saying that him and Kim were gonna abort North.
his North or something like that. And then later he went on Twitter and talked about how they tried to Kim and her mother, who he said was it Chris Jong Un, or basically trying to talk about Kim Jong Un from North Korea or South Korea, I'm sorry, and tried to make claims that no North Korea, I'm sorry, that they tried to 5150 him, which is basically, I want to say, the code for crazy,
It's
correct?
it's an involuntary 72-hour psychiatric hold.
Yeah,
It
that's why I
doesn't
was like,
extend past that. It's just, we think this person is a harm. Because I kind of looked it up to kind of figure out what exactly it is and is not, because we hear it thrown around, and I guess we're not as familiar. So it's my understanding from what I read is that it's a 72-hour hold. It's involuntary, but the thing about it is that it, technically speaking, in the wording of it, you have to be able to prove that this person is a danger to themselves and others. So if she tried to get right, so if she tried to get people out there to put him in this involuntary hold, saying that he was a danger, she would have to prove he was a danger to someone, which is why I don't think she was successful.
Yeah, and it's weird when it comes to psychiatric care, because if a person is, from what I've gathered and what I've experienced, if a person is cognitive, good luck trying to get them, because they can check themselves out at any point unless they are deemed, again, a danger to themselves or other people. So it's very hard to get people care for psychiatric problems, because they have to concede to it, basically. And so,
which I think a really good example to this and how it does not work when people are fairly coherent and smart.
Mm-hmm.
Lori Vallow. So for those of you who don't know or don't really follow, there was a white woman in Idaho who claimed to be like some kind of spirit being, and that 144,000 people would be ascended from Earth, and that she was God, and that some people became vampires and they had to be murdered. Basically, the lady whose children went missing in November, and they found their bodies this month. Well, they found their remains this month, and this whole time she was saying they were zombies or whatever, and then she lied about where they were, basically. So now she's in jail because now they're trying to figure out what actually happened to these kids. Mm-hmm. But they were obviously murdered. But she was a part of some weird offshoot doomsday shit. And now, to backtrack, other than her children, her brother also died, and then her ex-husband was shot to death by this brother that died after he shot her ex-husband. So I say all of that to say this: the ex-husband, she started doing really strange, unhinged shit. Like, nothing like threatening his life, but like doing stuff like he'd go on work trips and then she'd cancel his flight home. Or like she'd go and use her spare key and then like take his car from the airport and tell people she wanted a divorce. And started saying stuff like he was a vampire or a zombie and something else that inhabited his body. Like because she was in this cult shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he gets concerned because they divorced and she like ups and runs, lives with the kids. And he was like, I'm seriously concerned about her well-being. She needs to be, psychiatrically evaluated.
Yeah.
And so her and a friend go up there and they do the evaluation and she's coherent. She can answer all their questions. She doesn't seem to be a danger to anybody, and they let her walk right back out. And then a week later, that man was dead. And then months later, both of those children were dead.
Yep.
So it is very easy for people to get around a psychiatric hold if you can't prove they're in immediate danger.
Yeah. But that also...
And Kanye was not about to shoot himself or shoot Kim or shoot the children, so she really had no leg to stand on.
Yeah, and so some of the issues is that we only make it to where a person is a danger to themselves or others, but it's like that's like saying we're only going to call the cops when you're held at gunpoint. Like, think about that. Like, think about any other situation. You getting robbed? Are you at gunpoint? No, officer. Oh, okay, well, call us when you get back when they got you at gunpoint. So you don't want to come and intervene before that? Nope, nah, it got to be a real threat.
It's the same as like if you try to go file or stalking. You try to go to the police and tell them, hey, I want to get a restraining order. This person is really scaring me. They're being insane. Have they hurt you? Have they harmed you? Well, no, but they're going to. Well, call us when they harm you.
Yeah, call us when they kick your door in. Then we'll take care of it. Then it'll be a real problem. It's like, no, let's get ahead of this before it actually occurs. And so,
right. And so, go ahead.
No, I was just saying it was just weird listening and watching that because, again, I'm no psychiatric professional, but it just seems the man is going through something. Like, I don't know what it is. I can't call it, but it just seems weird.
Kim put out a very long statement on Instagram where she basically was just kind of like, they're having to go through this publicly. He's very publicly said he is bipolar. Yeah. But like she said, when people have mental illnesses, they have to be willing to do the work to treat their mental illness. And if they aren't willing to get help, then there's really nothing you can do. You're forced to sit by and you're helpless.
That's true.
And so I think sometimes we expect the people around these people, well, they should have better people around them and these people should do something. But the way our mental health, again, the way just what we were talking about, the way we view mental health in this country is not that it's a necessity, right? Like there's only people that be like, oh, you need to pray that away, or that's a demon, or whatever it is, or there's nothing wrong with you that, a change in diet and exercise won't fix. And the thing about it is that we're talking about chemical imbalances in people's brains. We're not talking about I'm 6 pounds overweight, so now I snore. Like we're not talking about something that you can physically fix that way. And so when you won't go to a therapist and you won't take your meds, and the people around you are left to suffer because they can't force you to do those things. If you aren't hurting anybody, except for them and their feelings, nobody's going to come pick you up for that. So,
and that's I guess that is a big issue because some of the issues when it comes to again, mental health, you yourself, even if you want to check yourself in, it's very hard to get mental health services paid for. You hear a lot of stories how people have to sue their insurance to get their, therapy sessions paid for or anything like that. And there's really no services available for free. We don't really have the capacity to put, we don't really have hospitals for this. It's like, we'll get around to it. And so it becomes interesting. This is what you end up getting. And it's like, I don't know Kanye's situation. I'm not here to try to diagnose this man or anything like that. But this is the start of things. We don't know what else goes on when the cameras aren't on. And so, it's one of those moments where you're in between. You're like, man, maybe we should just ignore him. But then you're like, I care.
It's a cry for help.
Yeah. It's like, is he trying to say he needs us? Or should I just ignore him and let things go on and you hear something bad happen to him that you feel like an asshole? So,
well, I mean, then of course it'll be, oh, well, why didn't somebody do something? But again, you can only do what people allow you to do to help them. Yeah. I also am not sure what. So I don't want to make the focus his mental health, I guess, but so him running for president, I guess my confusion in this is he hasn't put out a piece of policy, no real plans for the direction of the country. So it's a little confusing because it's the end of July.
Oh.
This election is taking place in November. So if you are able to get on ballots places, like what are you running on? What is the platform here?
I think
is it free? Is it free Yeezys for everybody and defund Planned Parenthood, and that's literally it, or?
Yeah, you get a discount at the the Old Navy store, because remember he yeah.
You get a 10% discount at Old Navy when you apply for it and get approved for an Old Navy card, of course.
Yeah.
And then you buy some Kanye merchandise.
Now, I do remember apparently there was a plan that came out. Now hold on, let's see if I can find it. Hold on, let me see. Damn, they don't have it listed out. But anyways, I remember there was one headline I read. He wanted to give like $1 million to everybody or something it was something crazy. And I was just like,
well, he doesn't have $1 million to give everybody, and neither does this broke ass bitch ass country we live in. We ain't got $1 million to give everybody. We trillions of dollars in debt. They gave people $1,200 to last 4 months, and they barely had that. I think they still printing money to try to make up for that.
Yeah, and they say y'all good, man. Don't worry about it. You know what? We're gonna give all this money to these corporations because we allowed them to actually just raid the treasury. Never mind. Don't worry about that one. That was just me talking out my ass, so it's cool.
Yeah, I just don't understand. Like, God bless him. I just don't see how that's viable. You know, if he needs help, I hope he gets the help he needs. I've heard stories that keep saying that Kim is filing for divorce. I don't want anybody to have to go through a divorce. So, I hope that's not the case. But if this is the tip of the iceberg, and the way he behaves when he is not in front of a camera is significantly more unhinged or worse than that, then this lady has been dealing with him and him being bipolar for the entirety of their marriage, and she might be fed the fuck up. So if she is getting divorced, it's shitty that it's kind of like, damn, she's walking down this man and he needs help, but it's also, I can't help you if you don't want to be helped. So the only thing you can do is press the issue and be like, and she would have, but that's the thing, they're stars. So then if she presses the issue about trying to get him committed or put in one of these involuntary holds, then a lot of shit is going to have to come out that they've been able to keep suppressed, or keep off camera, or keep behind the scenes. She's going to have to lay all of it bare if she's trying to get this man committed.
Yeah, but again, like you said earlier, it does require the other side to actually want to put forth the effort. Just because you want something to work out, if the other side says, nah, I'm good, you're going to take me as is, and you like, hey, man, as is ain't good enough, then you know what? It says for better or for worse. Hey, we went beyond worse. That's it, D. That's all we can do.
We showed up, we showed out. Now it's time to go home. That's all we got.
No, that's it. So ain't nothing much you can say about it. So, oh well. Hopefully he gets the help he needs, and hopefully he actually accepts the help he needs, because that's the biggest part, is accepting the help that you actually need. So.
I mean, he can certainly pay for it. So there's that bear.
Oh, definitely. He just became a billionaire allegedly. So it's like, hey, yeah, you got more than enough money. So
I agree, indeed. Last thing, so lawmakers in various states, as we roll into August, are trying to put together lesson plans. They're trying to figure out how they can get these children sent back to school. Now, there are some states where they have pushed back the start of school so that the children are not there, giving them more time to kind of figure out how that's supposed to work. Mm-hmm. You have others that are like, fuck it, send these children to school. We don't give a flying fuck. And then you have some that have offered to kind of do hybrid learning, where they maybe go a few days, like kind of, I guess, stagger the children so they're not as many at school at one time. And then you have the ones that are like, we're just going to go virtual learning, and then we'll figure out going back to school maybe later after we get back in school and see how this works.
And it's not even confused that everybody's favorite education secretary, old Bessie, hinted at, we need to get these schools back, and if they decide not to go back on time, we may have to pull funding. But that's details. We'll go ahead and continue.
Okay, so let me just. I fucking hate Betsy DeVos. Like, and people say that you're not supposed to hate people, but that bitch is like evil incarnate. Like, her and Ted Cruz are some motherfuckers that I fucking hate. I don't hate anyone. I hate Betsy DeVos. If I ever met that woman in person, I will take that charge for all of goddamn America. I am beating her old ass.
Like, there's a lot of people
I'm getting a lick in. I'm getting my licks in. I don't give a fuck if I got to go to jail for them hoes. I'm getting them in. I hate her. That is the most incompetent, greedy, raggedy, stupid ass bitch I've ever seen in my goddamn life. And that is saying a lot because we live in Texas.
Yep. And that's the funny thing, because I'll even, for those people who are unaware, I'll put Mitch McConnell up there, Mitch McConnell, the turtle man himself, all them people. But it's just funny how, because it was funny, she had went to, I don't remember I think it was MSNBC or CNN, one of them, and she was like, yeah, we heard that you were going to try to pull funding if these schools don't go back. She was like, well, we just said that they may not deserve the funding if they don't decide to go back. It's like, motherfucker, we in the middle of a pandemic, and you talking about sending children, little people, back to school before we even have any inkling of a vaccination or any kind of safety plan, anything. Just send them back.
And I think that's the part that is concerning to people, right? It's not like, oh, fuck it, I don't want my kids, but they're not looking at it as the bigger picture. You're sending these, because they're in their mind, they're like, we need the economy to be booming, we need to be rolling. We send these kids back to school. That means that they have childcare during the day, which means their parents will go back to work, blah, 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 blah. But the problem with that is that children are little germ incubators. So even if the children who we have found now, they tried to make it, children don't get coronavirus. Well, we learned that is complete and utter bullshit. That's not true. Infants are getting it. So we learned that that's obviously not true. But what we learned is that they seem to recover better, give or take. Now, obviously, the infant babies with no immune system getting coronavirus is a completely different subset than maybe like the 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old children that they kind of are talking about getting coronavirus. The babies are dying. Let's just make that pretty clear. Like the kids the infants are dying.
Because their immune system is not up to par yet. So therefore they are immunocompromised is how they would describe it.
Exactly. I was going to say, they essentially kind of fall into what you would consider pre-existing conditions or immunocompromised. So our children, the ones that are actually going to school, school-age children, can get coronavirus, but from what they can tell, for the most of them, the symptoms seem to be mild. However, that does not, what they're forgetting is that these children then go to school. They haven't had human interaction with anybody that's not their family for most of them since they left school in March. So they're excited to see these children again. They're hugging them. They're kissing them. They're loving on each other. They're wanting to hold hands. You're trying to tell 5 and 6-year-olds to keep a mask on all day. It is one thing to tell your kid, hey, we have to run in Target for like 20 minutes. I need you to keep this mask on. 20 minutes is not 7 hours.
No.
It's not an hour. It's not 2 hours.
And that's my issue, is because my youngest baby girl, she's 9 now. I remember we ran into the store, Dollar Tree of all places, a small store, for 5 minutes, and she was ready to take the mask off. Like, I don't like that, Daddy. I know, and that's why I don't bring you any most places when I do go, because I understand it's not comfortable. I get that, and so I try to reduce the frequency of that occurring with you. But again, can you imagine? Let's put a scenario in your head. You're preschoolers or kindergartners. Let's start there. 5, wearing a mask for 7+ hours a day. Can you imagine that? It's hard to get them to sit down, let alone keep some on their face.
It's hard to get them to sit down. It's hard to get them to not touch each other. So you're saying, come to school, but don't touch each other. Don't hug each other. Don't sit too close to each other. Don't share your food or drinks with each other. And they're 5. They're not. And here's the thing. They're 5 years old. So they have some semblance, but they forget things. And that's to be expected. So the
Yes.
first time one of them forgets and shares something or pulls their mask down or touches their eyes or whatever, now they have coronavirus, which they may be fine. They may not be sick. They may not present any symptoms, or they may be mildly sick. They
Mm-hmm.
now take coronavirus that they've gotten at school home to their elderly grandparents or to their aunt who has kidney problems or to their parents who have to go to work. So now you run the risk of this child who might be fine at school and might have a mild cold decimating their entire family of adults.
Yep.
So it's not even necessarily that the concern is like, oh, the children are not safe. The children probably would get coronavirus, but it's the idea of them spreading it to everyone else that you are saying, oh, well, now that they have childcare, they can go back to work. Well, if they're all dead, they can't go any fucking where.
No.
Now you got a bunch of orphaned ass kids, and Republicans only care about kids until they're born.
Of course.
They don't want you to abort it. They don't want you to abort any, but they don't want to make any federal programs to take care of the ones that are here. So God forbid any of these kids give their parents corona and their parents die, because they're just going to be in the foster system, and good luck to them.
Yeah, they are very big on, yeah, you gotta have that baby, and then as soon as they come, man, fuck that kid. You know, that's
Fuck
basically fuck those kids, man. They got it, and it's sad though, because it's like people get caught up in that stuff, and it's like, yo, y'all not even looking at the full picture, man. Like, y'all not looking at the outcome. What's the hazard? None of that stuff. Y'all just want to just shuffle them back in, huh? And then a lot of it's gonna. Yeah, but the problem is a lot of it's going to happen to the poorer neighborhoods, because the poorer schools don't have the resources or the infrastructure to do online learning. So they're going to have to go back physically. Unfortunately, a lot of us are doing fine enough to be able to put them in a district where you can do distance learning for the first part. But what about the school districts where they don't have that? Most people are struggling. So then what?
Or the problem that we ran across when they went distance in March, when they let them out of school. You have a lot of kids that go to school and their internet access is limited. So they either, when they have to do schoolwork or whatever, they either go to the library or they're using their parents' phones or something like that, because there are no computers in the house.
Yes.
So these children are consistently kind of on the short end of the stick here, because they already don't even have the technology at home to do the distance learning. And then you have, like you said, these poor neighborhoods and districts where they don't have the technology to send these kids home with Chromebooks or anything to do the work on. They're just telling them, well, you need to use a computer at your house to do the work.
Yeah.
Or there's a computer there, but their parents are using it to work.
Yeah. It's leaning on a lot of assumptions that the current parents have the infrastructure to be able to provide their kids with what is necessary in order to get their education across. Then it also is leaning on the fact that parents may have the time to actually teach their kids. Like, let's keep it real. A father or a mother who works hourly at the local Walmart don't have time to really come home and teach their kids anything. So now we're also looking at kids potentially falling behind.
Well, yeah, because I mean, it's one of those things where if they're at school and they're being monitored, you're seeing that the work is being done. The teacher is there to make sure that the work is being done. You send them home with some work, but it's in the evening. Mom and dad are there. They can supervise you doing worksheets because you're learning at school while they're at work. But now all of this falls to them to make sure that you're getting online, that you're able to follow along with what's going on, that all the links work, that you know that you're supposed to click on the links. And unfortunately for smaller children, that requires somebody to sit there and go through that, because it's not just a click here on this picture, click here on this picture. You're asking 7 and 8-year-olds to kind of navigate the web and navigate these different portals, all the shit you're asking them to do to be able to learn. Somebody has to be there to assist with that. And unfortunately, because you have sent these parents back to work, nobody's there to assist with that.
Exactly. And that thus brings up the problems. And it's going to be interesting. That's all I can say.
We're going to see. And it's either going to be these kids are going to get sick, or their parents are going to get sick, or whoever is going to get sick, and things are going to close back down, and they're going to be scrambling to figure it out all over again, instead of trying to find a model that doesn't push all of these children back into these schools next month. Like, it doesn't seem realistic, and especially in the places that are hot spots. Like, nobody in Florida has any business sending their children to a school right now.
Mm-mm.
None. Nobody in Texas has any business sending their kids to a school right now. But that is epicenter number 1 and number 2, where they're like, fuck it, these kids going to school, we don't give a fuck. And then they had the audacity in some places to put out a memo and be like, well, if your kids don't come to school in person, they can't participate in extracurriculars. It's like, well, why the fuck would I let my kid go to volleyball practice if I wouldn't let them come to school? Like, explain.
First of all,
like,
are we really talking about? Yeah, it's like, are we really talking about fall sports? Like, yo, that's out the window, right now. So
it's actually not. The UIL has already put out the Texas schedule.
Oh my god,
it's pushed back. I think that 1A through 3A is going to at least be able to start having practices mid-August. That's going to be the first practice date for them. And then the 4, 5, 6A schools, their first days of practice are going to be pushed back to almost September, and they'll start having sports and games into September. So basically they have it set out, the A through 3A is going to have a kind of a head start on the season. They'll play earlier so that there's not an overlap going into like state championship. Everything will be done by December, but they'll have like shortened schedules and they're staggered. But they have the UIL has absolutely put out a schedule. Those kids are absolutely going to play sports.
Wow. Why again?
I saw that and I was like, wow, y'all are bold. And the crazy thing is, when you think about it, you have kids that are juniors and seniors. They kind of are banking on these last years to kind of be the thing that gets them into a good school, to kind of, if they want to play sports at a college. And so it's unfortunate, but then it's like you now have to make a choice. Like, okay, I want my kid to be safe, but they want a football scholarship. So the only way for them to be able to play so that scouts can see them is for me to send them back to school in person.
Yep.
To their crowded ass high school with no computers and no books. Like, God bless it.
Yeah, that's crazy though, man.
There's just not even a reason to send those kids back. You should just cut all this shit short, to be honest. Like, none of it makes sense.
I mean, that's my whole thing, is like, and that's the unfortunate part, but that leads into the whole, I'll hop on my soapbox. The economic depravity of a lot of lower income people, because they riding on the fact that their kid can get into Texas or A&M or wherever to play ball and potentially make it to the league to help get us out of this situation. And so you now have to put children in harm's way because you won a season. All right. You know what? It's all good.
All right, that's enough of this. Now I'm just tired. Lord, I guess. We'll end on that. Well, you know what? Tell me something good. Let's not end on such a shitty, horrible note. Tell me something nice. Tell me something good.
Shoot. Has anything good happened? Let's see. Hold on. I
know it's all bad. Like, God damn, is anything? Well, I'll go. So They had the Snoop Dogg versus DMX versus yesterday. I watched that. That was a good time. I enjoyed that. DMX was looking healthy and well, like he's eating good, and he was sitting on that stool bopping like somebody's drunk uncle at the barbecue or the function. And Snoop Dogg was running around there with his dreads down his back and his little sweatpants, and it was adorable, and I loved every minute of it. So that was a good thing.
That is a plus. Let's see. Hold on. I gotta go through my mail now. That's so bad. Ain't it bad that you gotta ask for like for good? Like, hold on. What did happen?
What happened to me? Did anything happen to me?
Hold up. Nah, I ain't got it. I can say, well, little dude's growing well. He made 6 months. That's a plus. And I guess one of the benefits is being able to see him grow, because this is probably the most time I got to spend with like any child outside of work. So I was like, yo, it's been cool. So that's been
nice.
a plus. Yeah.
He's gonna be super weirded out when you go back to work. He's just gonna be like, well, where is everybody? This is odd. Nobody's here.
It's actually funny.
It was
So there's when I
all these
do
people in my face, and now there's nobody in my face.
when I do have to go, he is kind of like allegedly. I'm just that's the words of an individual in this home that he does act up when I'm not around. So you know, it is what it is. That's what she claims.
Well, I mean, as much as a 6-month-old can act up, well, I don't think he's like climbing down off the couch and like pissing in the corners or anything. Like,
you know what? I don't know because this boy here, when he like gets distraught and he's ready to like calm down, he knows he'll cry and he knows what direction his mama should be coming from, so he'll cry and turn himself to that direction and look and stop, and then he'll try to cry louder because he thinks she can't hear him. So yeah, hey man, kids are smarter than what we give them credit for. So.
Well, see, there you go. There's the highlight of your day. Children are insane, and Snoop Dogg and DMX did things. Quentin, tell the people where they can find you.
Oh man, so I am still on Twitter. You go ahead and hit me up on as what _Q_the_great or Black Hercules on Twitter. I am also on Instagram. I have been, for the people who do want to see what little dude look like, I've been basically taking random pics. Yes, I became that parent, taking random pictures of them on my Instagram, which is just, I think it's at Q _simp, I believe. And then of course, Facebook is just my name, Quentin Simpson, for all those who care. What about you, V?
Twitter and Instagram, it's at BJ_Burton. I had a little security breach on Instagram that I am trying to get them to get back to me. Somebody is pretending to be me. Obviously they're doing whatever scam, or I can turn your $50 to $500, DM me, whatever. That is not me. I'm aware of the issue. Please report that page, if you can or have the time to. I've already filed a report with Instagram, but because of coronavirus, they obviously do not have as many people working. So they still have not gotten back to me. So if that happens, I apologize.
Damn, you too,
just
huh?
Yeah, so I'm just letting you guys know. I'm on Facebook sometimes. I don't really fool Facebook like that. So I mean, if you find me on there, cool. We'll be there together. Show's Twitter at chopping it up _pod. No G on chopping sheet. CHOPPINITUP _pod. You can always get with us there. We retweet the show links there. You can talk to us there. Let us know suggestions. Let us know if you hate it, love it, want to talk about more things. Of course, we are here for you and partially for our own therapy, but also for you. So let us know what you think. If you are an iTunes listener, of course, rate, review, subscribe, leave us nice messages, and tell us how we're doing. We love to hear from you.
That's right, man. Oh man, it's been fun, man. Good catching up with you. You already know how it is. So, I don't think I need to repeat anything from there. So, other than that, I think we good.
We're out.